To Miami with Love is the art of pandemic life and protest. It's my chronicling of what we went through in the city of Miami throughout the whole year of 2020, involving the homelessness, evictions, quarantine life, nightlife industry, everything that affected the city of Miami. That's what the narrative of the project is. What inspired these, I spent a lot of time in the George Floyd protests when they started happening. And for someone like myself who spent the better part of a decade in the entertainment and hospitality industry as a DJ, for that industry to shut down basically overnight and me to have nothing to do, it kind of hit me with a lot of depression and anxiety and angst, because we didn't know what was gonna happen. And in that moment, that's when something kind of struck me and said, you need to go outside and capture what's happening around you. Because I was every day watching the news, listening about the COVID-19 deaths, looking at the George Floyd protests and all the things that were happening. And then when the protests finally came here, that's when I went out and started capturing what was happening around us. And it was just, for me, it's about seeing something and then it speaks to me, it captures me, and then I want to capture that. So I didn't really know what I was going to be inspired by until I was standing in front of it, or standing in front of a particular person. Like the woman who I called Listen to Me, she's a woman who was talking to the police sergeant in Coral Gables. And he's telling us how we need to trust and believe in the police force. And her response to that was, I was sexually assaulted by one of your officers. So how can you ever expect us to trust the police when you treat us, Black and brown people, this way? And when she said that, she said it with such passion and anger and frustration. I caught that image in that moment. You can't really predict these type of moments. They kind of just happen as you're waiting for the moments.
Here we are, Detroit, Michigan, getting the sample pages for my book, To Miami with Love, getting a feel for it. What you see what's happening here.
So I took over 2,000 photos. So you try to figure condensing 2,000 photos down to 256, which are how many are in my book of photography. And then out of those 256, picking 23 for the exhibit. It was a very lengthy process, but I treated it like how I treat a DJ set. I wanted it to tell a visual story. It had to be cohesive from beginning to end. And if the overall premise is pandemic life, quarantine, homelessness, nightlife, I had to pick the images that spoke to each of those individual topics. So that's how that formulated itself. One of my favorite images is Mom Dukes, is the image of my mother. And that one specifically because at the time when I took that photo, it was June 2020, and I hadn't hugged my mother in 6 or 7 months. I hadn't been inside her house in 6 or 7 months, and I'm used to going to her house once a week, to eat good Guyanese food, and that didn't happen for so long. And the only way I was able to take this photo of her was for her to stand in her garage, and I had to stand at the foot of her driveway. And my mother has pre-existing conditions, medical reasons, so that was a very real concern for both of us. So she's standing in her garage, I'm at the foot of her driveway, and I use a zoom lens to capture an image of her up close. And I'll be honest, at first, she didn't know that I was taking her photo for my book and my exhibit. And when she found out, she was very upset about that. And then when I told her that, well, your image is gonna be one of the main ones in the exhibit, she was even more upset. And it took other family members, my brothers, my aunts, to tell her that the actual photo of her is such a beautiful image that she kind of had to just let it go and just understand that, she's gonna be kind of on Front Street for the duration of the whole exhibition. So. So we're in Overtown, Miami right now, and we're inside the Ward Rooming House, which is a very historical landmark for the city of Miami. and it's curated by the Hampton Art Lovers. My brothers Chris and Daryl, two good brothers that have partnered up with me to co-curate To Miami with Love. When I met with Chris originally and I showed him my book, he said to me after absorbing it and taking it in, he said, this work needs to be on display on a larger scale. And he said, would you be interested in co-collaborating on an exhibition? And I said, absolutely, let's do it. So, I was fortunate enough and blessed for him to believe in me and my work to allow it to be shown here in the historic Ward Woman House. And it's important for me because, what they do is they specialize in showcasing Black art and Black artists. Most of the stuff that they show are from older artists, artists that have passed on and so forth. But to be someone who is now newly venturing into this space and have my work respected and shown in this place in Overtown is tremendous for me. It's a definite blessing. So I'm very, very grateful to the Hampton Art Lovers, Chris and Daryl, and hopefully this will be the first of many that we do here.